nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chair moves for approval of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements. Facility Committee meeting December 16th, 7 a.m. right here. We'll approve bids for the high school and Grandview Middle School construction projects. Regular board meeting, January 6th, right here at 6 p.m. At this time, I'd like to invite our Finance Director, Kathy Miller, up for our Truth and Taxation presentation.
Thank you, Gary. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We are here this evening to conduct our annual Truth and Taxation hearing. Our goal is to ensure transparency and accountability in the school's taxation process. The taxes that we'll be discussing this evening will be for payable 25, and those will be the local property tax portion of our revenue for next school year's budget. Okay, before we go into the levy figures, I'd like to take just a quick moment to review the levy process. In August, the Minnesota Department of Education opens up the summer levy system, which is aligned with the state funding levels, and we get our information in by the required date of the end of August. And then at our September meeting, as you remember, we need to certify our proposed levy each year. And we certify that annually at maximum, allowing for any edits that need to be made by the state. We then send that information over to Hennepin County, and they go ahead and calculate the proposed taxes. And then mid-November, for those of you who are property tax owners, you remember getting a Truth and Taxation statement in the mail, also known as a T&T, or a Notice of Proposed Taxes. Again, all property taxes receive those. The statute requires that we have a public hearing, which is what we're obviously taking care of this evening. And then lastly, tonight we will be certifying the final levy, and that will be an action item that you'll see on the agenda at the following regular meeting later on the agenda. The Truth and Taxation statute requires that all taxing jurisdictions have a hearing. On your property tax statements, you'll see information about the county, the city, and the school district. And tonight we are here for the school district portion of the levy hearing process. There are 4 requirements of the Truth and Taxation hearing. We will be discussing the proposed taxes for 2025. We will discuss the current budget. We will disclose and talk about the percentage increase and what makes up that increase. And then lastly, we'll give any public time to comment if they so choose. Okay, displayed on this slide is our final 23-24 revenue and expenditure, as well as our adopted budget for the 24-25 school year. This was published in our local newspaper this fall, following the presentation of our audited financial statements by our auditors, Bergen KDV. Copies of our complete audits are on our district website, as well as the summary can also be found on our district website. Any board members or public wanting a copy are also welcome to contact our office. Okay, before we get into the levy particulars, I'd like to give first an overview of the total levy. It's our goal for our district residents to have a clear understanding of where the tax dollars go. This chart and the following slides will compare the proposed levy to the prior year. And you can see that we levy into 3 funds, or 3 buckets. The first is general fund, the second is community education, and then lastly is debt service. And again, the prior year levy, what we're proposing this evening, the difference, and the percentage increase this year that we're proposing is 3.89%. Okay, this next slide will give all the details of the general fund. The general fund obviously covers the majority of the programs that operate the school district. The main components are the local operating levy. This is part of the general fund that provides classroom instruction, instructional supplies, equipment, and other educational activities. Our capital projects levy is very important. That funds our technology support, infrastructure, and one-to-one computers, textbooks, and digital curriculum. The general fund also includes long-term facilities, maintenance, lease levy, operating capital, and safe schools. The largest change in general fund is that in the area of our capital projects levy, and that is tied to our property tax values. The other main contributing factor is the inflation component of our operating referendum. The Westonka residents approved a 10-year operating referendum in 2019. This was a two-step levy. Instead of asking for the increase all in 1 year, the levy accessed funds only as they were needed by the district. This two-step levy then gradually was designed to bring Westonka's per pupil funding closer to that of neighboring districts such as Orono and Minnetonka. The second step of the levy actually was implemented last year in 2024, and you would have seen that reflected on your last year tax statement as well as this year. Community education, the community education levy components fund our basic community education, which is taxed based on the number of pupils, adults in our population for our district. We have just over 20,000 residents within our district in our census count. Early childhood family ed funding is based off of our birth to age 5 population, as well as the levy also includes dollars for our adventure club and adults with disability. The proposed levy for community education is $1,125,000. Debt service. The debt service levy takes care of our annual principal and interest components of our building bonds. The annual debt that we levy is dialed in according to our schedules for the district's outstanding debt. We have our 2012 bonds, our 2016 bonds, our 2018 abatement bonds, and also lastly is our 2024 bond, which is going on now. This also was implemented last year following our November of 2023 election. That was implemented the first year in 2024, so this is the second year of our building bonds. All right, this chart displays this, the 5-year trend of our property taxes, and you can see the 2024 and 2024 levies are higher than the previous 3 years, and those are due to 3 voter-approved initiatives: the capital projects levy renewal, the two-step operating referendum, and the 2024 bond. Okay. All right, this chart displays all school districts located in Hennepin County and how their school district taxes compare on an estimated home value of $600,000. The orange bar at the very bottom of this chart represents Westonka. As you can see, Westonka clearly has the lowest school property taxes in the county. We take our district residents' property taxes very seriously, and we are proud of what we've accomplished for our students with these tax dollars. Accountability, good stewardship are of utmost importance, and also for the local support, we are most grateful. At this time, I'd like to invite any questions or comments. Okay, thank you for your time and attention during the Truth in Taxation hearing. If there are any questions or if things pop up later, you're welcome to reach out to myself or Superintendent Borg.
Thanks, Kathy.
Did you want to?
Yes, as long as I'm here, I'll save interrupting Mark. I'll go through my report really quickly as far as just the general financial report. You can see our enrollment is as steady as ever, 2,406, so just a very small, slight dip over the prior year. So again, very happy with our enrollment so far this school year. And revenue and expenses through the end of November, we've expended 25.8 or 10,518,000, or excuse me, of revenue collected, and we've expended 35.4 or 13,782,000 both the revenue and the expenses are trending appropriately according to the adopted budget. I think the only other item to note is thank you to the Board Finance Committee. We met on December 5th and we reviewed the property tax dollars and presentation in greater detail. We had enrollment and branding presentation, and we also reviewed the budget calendar, which we'll be bringing to the December meeting. That's all I have.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board? Then we move on to the student rep report.
My name's Mason.
I'm Stella.
And we are the Student Senate co-presidents. I believe this is our third or fourth time being here. So for activities well, I guess between the last meeting and now, the Student Senate, we're running our weekend holiday drive. It started last Wednesday and it'll be going till this Wednesday. And basically we're doing like morning shifts. If you drive around up here around like 7:50, you'll see kids outside holding signs. And then that's raising money and like bathroom goods and stuff like that. As well, the snowball dance, which is in February, we met with Ms. Herfel and Mr. Fisher, and we found that we're going to be switching it to a unified club in like student senate dance. So it'll be like a co-club dance, and then we're inviting a bunch of other clubs to join in, as we found the snowball dance in the previous years hasn't been as successful. So we're going to try to make it more of a fun event, and that'll be on Valentine's Day. So we'll have that kind of theme with it.
For DECA, we have districts coming up on January 12th at Livingston Jefferson High School. Right now we have about 180 members enrolled to compete. And we have 9 people going to internationals currently for virtual business challenges, which they do like simulations where they're either running a business or investing money. And we've had some success in that this year. We also have 2 people running to represent our district. That's what I'm our District 3 president, so I'm one of the VPs for the state, and we have 2 people running. They're the only people running, so we will have another person from our school next year representing our state.
And then for Letters of Love, they've been hard at work just making cards. I believe they have monthly meetings, and they go with like kind of the theme of what time of year it is. So.
For Rotary, we have a blanket making event coming up on Wednesday, and we are planning our Stick It to Hunger tournament again this year.
For Math League, they are continuing to compete, and I believe we're hosting a Math League event in the next week. I'm not sure what time, but I know they've been doing very good. They're basically one of the top.
Second in the state?
Yeah, second in the state, and I think they're the top public school in the state, behind like St. Croix Lutheran or something, or St. Croix Academy, something like that.
For National Honor Society, we've been distributing poinsettias, and we had our recent blood drive.
And then the Tonka Bots robotics team, they are having their fundraiser at Vision Arcade on December 14th. That'll just be, I think, like 50% of the proceeds are going to the club, so hopefully they'll make some good money there.
And then we've had Unified Club and FCA meeting as well.
Yep. And then now on to athletics. So basically all the sports seasons have started up, besides I'm guessing Nordic because the lack of snow. But
a bit of a tough start.
Yeah. So boys basketball, they're 3-0, and then excitingly they actually play at Target Center on Saturday, which is going to be really fun. I don't know how they got that, but
What's going on there,
I believe they play Two Rivers or like Mendota. And then girls basketball, they're 3-2. Boys hockey is 4-1. Colin Hagan and Liam Grant, they're both juniors. They're leading the state in points.
They're tied.
So, yep. And then girls hockey, they are 4-3, and I believe they're also ranked in the state as well. Our wrestling competed on Saturday in the Don Meyer Invitational, which is at Fridley, and I think we won. So, yep.
And then gymnastics has begun, and Cold Drill has committed to play football at UW River Falls.
And now on to arts. So the band concert is tonight at 7 in the PAC, and then visual arts will also be submitting their pieces for the Scholastic Art Awards in December. So.
And Aunt Leaf is holding auditions for their one-act play right now, which will be coming up in the next couple weeks. And Newsies Junior, which is at the middle school, has just wrapped up.
And now on to academics. So basically we added, this year I believe it was our administration, they added a Wings Up Award. So I'll just read the description to it, it's kind of long, but so the Wings Up Award is a newly created award for students of all grade levels, which each academic department awards once per school year. The purpose of the Wings Up Award is to acknowledge all types of students in the classroom, create some fun in the building for staff and students, and honor the history of the distinguished student celebration committee while making student recognition a bit more consistent and visible.
The nomination criteria is that the student demonstrates leadership within the classroom, has shown academic growth, has a positive attitude, enthusiasm towards their subject, a strong work ethic, strong collaboration skills, supportive and kindness towards their classmates, goes above and beyond on assignments and activities, and has any other things desired by their instructor.
So I believe they're doing it every couple weeks. So they started with the business department in 8th grade, Greta Bodie won. 9th grade, Gabrielle Wrighton. 10th grade, JC Hamrick. 11th grade, Brody Patterson. And then the senior was Brendan Sexton.
And then world languages had it next. In 8th grade, it was Nolan Dale. In 9th grade, Jenna, got a lot of, I don't know how to say any of these last names, but 10th grade was Bella Grody, 11th grade, Allie Butler, and 12th grade was Mason Tabasky. So congratulations to Mason.
Yep.
But that's all we have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Good report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to the treasurer's report.
We begin with anonymous owner for Westonka Wings, $249. Shirley Hills PTO, Shirley Hills Primary School, $13,050. Elizabeth Christian, operetta, $25. Sarah Broadhammer, operetta, $50. Sarah Renins, operetta, $50. Samantha Borsch, operetta, $50. I hope I'm pronouncing those names somewhat close. Erwin Lesser, operetta, $50. Amber Batten, operetta, $50. Elisa Henriksen, operetta, $50. GMS PTO Grandview Middle School, $68.60. Anonymous, Mount Westonka High School, $20. Charities Aid Foundation, Mount Westonka High School, $174.64. Sharon Taylor, Mount Westonka High School, $2,000. Ohio File Prince LLC, Westonka Athletics, $22.84. Westonka Football Boosters, Westonka Football Team, $8,687. Westonka Basketball Boosters, Westonka Boys Basketball Team, $3,600. Westonka Basketball Boosters, Westonka Girls Basketball Team, $3,600. Anonymous Community Ed, $249. Mighty Cause Westonka Community Theater, $1,687.55. Butch Humbert Larry Excel Memorial Scholarship, $100. Pruitt Law Office Eric Hagan Scholarship, $1,000. Decoration with Grace LLC, Hackett Stance Team, $500. And Sarah De La Vega First Robotics, $150. And Mr. Chair and fellow board members, I looked at the check ledger and checked some of the checks. Everything seems to be in good order.
Thank you, Ralph. Are there any school board committee reports? None, then we'll move on to teaching and learning. Mark?
All right. I have to comment first when I hear the high school math league, math team, because I think one, being a former math teacher, this just makes my day. There is a place for everybody, and how great to see that. I used to track the different high schools when I was teaching who had the best teams, and great to see that at our high school. So anyway, tonight I just have two quick updates for you tonight, and I'll be coming to you on a regular basis, giving you updates with our whole high school remodeling process. And you know yourself all the work that's being done to do a big launch in the fall of 2026. So along with all the work we've done with the design of the building and all the construction pieces that goes on, we have steadily moved into the programming piece. And And just as a reminder, the new programs that are coming through now in the fall of 2026 are right up here: EMR, EMT, Certified Nursing Assistance Program, machining, and construction. And we just don't launch those programs by just offering them a registration manual. There's actually a number of things that need to happen, and that's first identifying the staff. There's something called a career tech license that these staff members need. You have to initiate a career tech application with the Department of Education. They have a CTE program. That unlocks a nice benefit, your CTE levy dollars. That helps pay for the equipment and the programs. And then with our medical programs, we also have to be involved with the Minnesota Department of Health. They'll have their say and their checklist of requirements. So we're right in the middle of all of that, and that'll continue between now and the end of the school year, probably into the fall, as we work on all these components. You can't have a program until you check the boxes on all these pieces here.
So does the Minnesota Department of Health, will they show up on occasion to check on things? Or?
Yeah, they'll make a visit before we launch like a nursing assistance program, EMR, EMT. They want to see you have all the equipment. They want to see your room set up. They're going to make sure the instructor is certified, that you've done everything right, especially in the medical field. So those things are coming. We're in fine shape, but fall of 2026, it'll be here before you know it. So I also put at the bottom of the slide, we have some great partners. And from the Department of Ed, Harrison Bay, Lake Minnetonka Shores, Ridgeview, Dunwoody, all of them have been walking alongside of us, ready to go, hey, what can we do? How can we support you? And they are going to be very important players as we really get going, where we want to provide our students experiences, not just in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. And that just represents just a sampling of businesses and organizations in our community that they're going to be set to be a partner with us. So really exciting things happening with that. The last piece tonight, I just want to share with you, for the first time, at least when I've been around, and I think for the first time in our school history, we have FIRST Robotics, a robotics team at every level of our school community. And I just want to introduce to you tonight the very first elementary robotics team. They're called the White Hawks First Lego League Explorer Team. These are grade 3 and 4 students. Katie Davis, she is our VE specialist at Shirley Hills. He is the advisor. And all I just want to point out to you, in that upper right-hand picture, there's a whole lot of energy, personality in this group of 3rd and 4th graders. But here again, these kids are learning to design a robot with Legos, they're learning coding, and they're putting together this whole competition that they are designing the lower right-hand corner of their iPads, movement with these robots, just the basics, and they get it, and they're excited. So they'll have their own little celebration here in the next couple of weeks here before winter break, and these 8 kids is the start. So happy that we could offer this at the elementary level. And then we have the GMS Noisemakers, and they are in the First Lego League Challenge. And with them, they have a competition. You'll see on the left-hand side, that is their competition board. It's called Submerged. It's a water-themed competition. Same thing, designing robots, coding them to complete a game and a competition. What I like about this level here, they also have something called an innovation project. It's not just fun and games, but their project this year is to research how whales communicate with each other under the water. And what does it require to monitor and to listen to these whale sounds? So this Saturday they have their competition at Holy Family, and they'll be competing against other teams in the grade 5 through 7 middle school realm. They'll compete on a game board like this, but then they have to do a presentation on the research they did on how to pick up the sounds of whales. And they get into a little bit about the health of whales and what do those sounds mean. So there's always an education component to these teams. And then the last one, as you know, the Tonka Bots, they had a great season, as you know, last year. Their official launch of their official league this year will be Saturday, January 4th, when they get the big competition details. What I wanted to highlight about the Tonka Bots is on the right-hand side. For the second year in a row, they have offered a middle school robotics camp. And I am so impressed with these young men and women that are taking under their wings middle schoolers. It is run by the students, where they're building connections with these middle schoolers, teaching them coding, teaching them programming, teaching them how to work as a team. And the fun thing is, you can kind of see this in this picture, they got them right in the palm of their hands. And they're modeling. So if there was ever a fear of coming to the high school, or for the families worrying about my 8th grader is going to be showing up at this big high school, that all dissipates. Because they're developing those friendships, they're seeing that high school can be a really cool place to be, and they'll be our future Tonka Bots. And again, the most important thing is, I talk so much about, this is for a lot of kids their place. This is where they shine. And now we can offer that at the elementary level, the middle school, and the high school. So some great things. These are extensions of the learning going on in our classrooms. And like I say, it's been a great development. And I can, again, I'll plug as our student reps did too. They talked about a fundraiser for the Tonka Bots this Saturday at the Vision Arcade Shop here in town. But here's the piece of it that they didn't share. This is called the Save Sid campaign. So Sid is the robot that did all the wondrous things. The one googly-eyed robot. Typically we have to break down our robots because they're expensive. Well, they want to raise money so they can keep a basic version of Sid and use them as a marketing tool, as something to show family and community about what we're about. So it's a fundraiser, but the fundraiser is the Save Sid here on the right side. And they're pretty excited about keeping him alive. And that really becomes the trademark for the Tonka Bot. So
Do you have any idea what the cost is to keep Sid around?
Yeah, what are they shooting for?
I think they're shooting around pre-K.
Okay.
How much?
3,000. Not just from this fundraiser, but 3,000. Okay, that's my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to the superintendent's report, Kevin.
Today, we have just a few action items bringing forward to you. Want to thank Kathy, the Finance Committee, for your presentation. As Kathy said, really thankful for the community and their support of our schools. And so, one, I appreciate the transparency that Kathy and her team brings. I appreciate the board's support of our budget and bringing that forward. And then also appreciate our community and the support of what has been presented to them. With your action items, just going through what's before you, so you have the resolution to approve that levy that she communicated. We have a cooperative agreement with the city of Minnetrista, and it has to do with how we run water in our city. This is an advantage to citizens of Minnetrista and also the school district, in that we run water line through our campus, which prevents them from having to go around our campus, but also it helps our district as we're able to branch off of that city line. And so we are formalizing that agreement. It's gone through the Minnetrista City Council. Now it comes to you. We have a little bit of work once we define the exact area for our MOU of easement, so we will have a legal description that we'll bring to you once that is defined, but they do that once they for sure know the line that we're looking at is one that we can run it. We have approval of retired IT hardware. So each year we have old Chromebooks that still have value, And so we put that out to market to see what we can get on these older Chromebooks. And then that gets bid out. And so really thankful for Corey Wolf, his team. Kyle Hugebene's involved in this, and it really does bring in a nice sale. And so we're appreciative of, one, being on a replacement cycle, because for our kids to be having devices that can keep up with what we're presenting, we run that. But also, we just don't throw them out, and we put those on a sale. The last two items are the acceptance of the bids, and so the first one is the bids for the high school. And just as a review, this just over a year ago, the board ratified the vote. We got busy with planning for the primary school security and the tennis courts. We now have the primary security really completed. We have a little bit of punch list items, but for all sakes and purposes, that one is completed. With the tennis court, we're waiting for the weather to warm up, and we're gonna redo the final coat on the courts, and we plan on opening that up when weather allows in the spring. I would love to give you a date, but if you can tell me that, I really wanna talk to you, because you could help me with snow days too. We just need to find when that weather can hold, and then we will do that. We bid out the high school package in early November, and we reported that to you. We had a very successful bid package that opened up. And what you have on your agenda today, in November, you approved a couple bid packages that we had longer lead times on items that we needed to get ordered so we could stay on the timeline of our project. There are more that are coming to you today. And so what you see here is a number of different bid packages. These are people that are companies that are the low bid, lowest qualified bid. And so we have gone through those. You're gonna see one change since what was sent out on Friday, and that is the theater equipment. We now were able to secure that that company in red there is the lowest bid. There was two bidders. That is the lowest, and so we'd ask for that to be added and awarded. That. So from what you got on Friday, that's one slight change, but it's called out as the lowest bidder. I'm gonna go to Grandview, and then I'm gonna bring up Dustin Kemp with Kraus Anderson that's gonna talk about this in a little bit more detail. You also have, we had the Grandview bid opening, and we had a successful opening in that all of our bid packages were covered. We are bringing to you two bid packages, one for electrical and one for our plumbing and mechanical. Again, with the lead times and looking at our summer work, we would ask the board to approve these. One thing that we noticed with our Grandview package, we didn't have the same volume of people bidding on these, and they're two different projects. One, the high school is a longer project, and so it's 18 months. It's a larger scope. This is a little bit smaller scope. It's a summer slam. But with that, these are the two low bids for those packages, and I'm gonna ask Dustin in a little bit to come forward. We are currently working on everything from where is summer programming gonna go, to how are we gonna box up and store things, how are we gonna work school at the high school in phases. And so you have to think through the multiple phases of where are kids going to learn, and how are we gonna run school in that format, where a teacher's gonna teach, ensuring that we can really hold to the standards that we'd expect out of our school system. There's a lot of, it's fascinating when you really talk about redesigning how you offer a program and do it differently. But really feel thankful Jolene's efforts, feel thankful for the high school staff, our partners with Kraus Anderson in working with us. But April's not long away, and that's when we begin. And so we're really working through a lot of details. One thing that's important with us is this summer we're taking down the high school building in Grandview. The next year it's going to be the high school building, Hilltop, and Shirley Hills, leaving Grandview as our building that can operate. And so each summer, we have a lot of programs that we offer, and we have to put together that puzzle of where is it gonna go. But it's really important this year that Grandview gets their work done, because they are the show the next summer for us to be able to operate. And so as we're going through this, really appreciate this opportunity to have this challenge of how we can do this. Really excited about all the projects that are included in this. Want to call up Dustin Kemp, and he can bring up, I don't know if the whole team's coming up or if it's Dustin, but just talk a little bit about the Grandview bid opening, and then talk about some of these bids that are for them.
Yeah. Yeah, not only is Grandview gonna be the only school open, but we're gonna be also scattered throughout all the district fields, and it's gonna be a busy, busy summer. So Grandview Middle School, just wanted to give a couple updates. So I think we talked about this last week, that the things that happen on bid day is, you know, we'll go through and break out all the different work scopes, be it your masonry, your carpentry packages. So for Grandview specifically, we had, I think, about 18 different work scope packages. And of the 18 packages, we sent it to about 451 different contractors. 191 of those viewed and downloaded the documents, and we had a total of about 55 bidders. So we had great coverage. We had, on average, about 3 contractors per bidding category. So like Kevin said, we're asking for the approval of just 2 of them today. I think we're gonna be ready for the remainder of them here probably for next Monday's meeting. But for these 2 particular bidders, John and I were calling, I think, several different mechanical and electrical contractors throughout the week just to verify that these are the correct numbers, and we feel like this is an honest bid because we only did get 1 bid from the mechanical contractor. After vetting them out extensively, we do feel confident in saying that this is the most competitive bid that you're gonna get at this time for that scope of work. I think a lot of things that may have scared some contractors away. There's a lot of tunnel work, and I think contractors in the plumbing and the piping side of things are starting to get full for work this summer, so we're starting to hear they're getting a little more selective. So John actually did have about 4 or 5 committed bidders up until about, I think, the day before the bid, and then there was 4 of them that pulled out, so we were left with Widener. But I don't say that lightly. Widener is still a very qualified mechanical contractor. They're actually our low bidder for the high school as well, so they'll be able to at least bounce employees back and forth from each site. And we've done a lot of work with them in other districts, so I feel confident in saying that they're a good contractor.
Any questions on the bid package for Dustin? One thing, with the rest of the Grandview, we're gonna try to get them at the facilities meeting on Monday. And so I'd ask for those of you that are on the facilities committee meeting, please be at that Monday meeting. We'd like to approve the rest of those so that they can get on with their procurement of what they need to do the job. The permits for the different projects have been submitted, and so we've gotten the high school off, and I know that we put in for the plumbing for Grandview. For Grandview, their building one is done through the city, so that operates a little bit different than the state. But the plumbing has been submitted right now for Grandview.
Yeah, because it's a local review, it offers us more of a competitive advantage on the timelines because they'll be able to turn the permit around a lot quicker.
Were we at or below on those 2 figures?
On our budget numbers for those 2 figures, we were above what we had estimated, but I think our estimate did not include an addendum item, which probably carried about another $100,000 to $200,000 worth of piping and plumbing work. And then I think we undervalued, speaking plainly, we undervalued the complexities of the tunnel and what kind of work went into them. I think the tunnels themselves are about, boy, John, what are they, 2 feet or 4 foot by about 2 foot height? So they're pretty compact, so I don't think we put in there anything to offer, because it's gonna be confined space entry. We didn't have anything like that in our budget number.
Is that typical? I mean, it's an old building, not that old, but, I mean, these tunnels systems in schools and stuff like that? I mean, you see that a lot?
Not a lot, but you still do see them. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of what kind of space you have to be able to run the piping, and if that's your only option, which in this case it is, that's what we're left with.
In this case, Widener was above the estimate for this. They were under the estimate when they got the bid for the high school. And so I think whether it's on the supply of labor, whether it was the estimating, whether there was less bidders and a contractor got a little bit more aggressive that they can make a little bit more on this project, I think you have to accept that all of those contributed to that one bid package being higher than what the estimation was. Electrical was also a little bit higher. Those were the two main ones at Grandview that were a little bit higher. In that bid package, we did add a little bit of scope of work. In the hallways, we're switching over to LED lighting. We put that in after the estimate, and so I think that would have adjusted that a little bit. The winning bidder on that one got the Shirley Hills and Hilltop security project. And so one thing that we like about that is that they're familiar with us as a district and how we set that up, and we think that's gonna bring some efficiencies. That's not why they get it, they happen to be the lower bidder, but that I think is favorable. And so we're for the high school, where we were under our estimate, Grandview's a little bit over, or they are over, but overall, district-wide, we continue to be under what our overall estimate is still to date.
Overall project values are still well into the plus range.
Yes. Yes, and for what it's worth, Widener on the high school, they were about 5.6 million lower than the next low bidder for the mechanical work.
Really?
So
So I guess we better go.
they were significantly under there for what it's worth.
Well, as they pointed out at the finance meeting, just to delay and wait and try and look for more bids and everything would really set this
Right.
back quite a ways.
Right, and the economy of scale on these, as far as the overall value is, I wouldn't say negligible, but it's not nearly as bad as if the major portion of the project was considerably over.
Agreed.
Yeah. The scope of work obviously is a smaller scope of work of the high school, and so to that point, yes.
You said you did a little review with some other contractors to just reasonableness test the Widener bid.
We did. I don't know that I would say it right now, but we can talk after. But yeah, we reached out to a couple contractors. John actually had a close relationship with one, called in a favor, and they were one of the bidders, and we had them at least finish out their bid to where they think, to give us a range of where they thought they were gonna be. One of them thought they were gonna be in the 3 to 5 range, and another one had mentioned they were probably gonna be around the 3 range.
Okay. Thank you.
And so this is 2 out of what, 8 scopes of work?
This is 2 out of 18.
18.
Yep.
I knew there was 8 in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so how are the other ones looking, or is it too soon to say?
I think there was a couple that did drop, a couple of low bidders that did drop, but it wasn't anything significant enough to where I would say there's concern there. I think of the 3, that totaled to about somewhere between 50 to 60,000 to the next low bidder. So we're still in good shape with the ones that did drop. And I think, John, you're almost all the way through, if not all the way through, and it's looking like a pretty firm number now, at least close.
Yeah, I should have final clean tomorrow, call to verify.
So no big nasty surprise on that side?
What's the overall cost for the scope at Grandview? Just ballpark.
For construction alone, I brought my laptop up because I know I get these questions. 6.5 million.
So this is a big part of it, these 2 right here.
Yep, this is gonna be about 60% of it, yeah.
Okay. I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would, one, I appreciate that when you get in bids, it's not, well, that's low, let's go with it, that there's a thought process of going through. I think what was different about this, particularly these 2 work packages, the others were very close to estimates overall. These 2 were over what our estimates were, which caused that review. I think the other thing is you didn't have as many people bidding on them, so I think that put in the work where Dustin and team started following up to make sure. I think overall, when you look at the overall scope of the high school, the tennis courts, the security, where we are on this, I'm thrilled to be in the position of where we're at. Of course, every time you have things go out to bid, you hope it just keeps on following suit. And I think in this case, as they were over the estimate, high school was under their estimate, which allows us to continue to be in a really good spot as a district. By approving these, I think what it really does is allows us to stay on schedule with qualified people that are qualified to do the work. I think also there's no guarantees if you rebid this out, you're gonna be in any better of a spot. It could go the other way, and then you have your timetable, and I think that's what Dustin needed to test.
Yeah, if you're gonna see consistency amounts over, then that's one thing. But at least from my experience, when we used to do underground work or tunnel work, there was a cutoff between what they considered tunnel work and conduit. And in spaces under 36 inches, they also consider that almost conduit. In other words, there was a lot of specialty things you had to do with ventilation and things like that.
Yes.
That had to be considered, and a lot of times it's missed.
Yeah, so when I say confined space, I don't say that loosely. Like, yeah, you have to have a guy at the end of the tunnel.
Right,
Making sure
monitoring.
they're in a tag line going into the tunnel.
Yeah, so that's not,
Fresh air
not
intakes.
truly tunnel work. It's more what we used to consider conduit work.
One thing that this does raise, though, is when we start looking at the Shirley Hills and Hilltop packages, we have to make sure that we review those, so we build out those estimates as they should be for those work scopes. And so I think that those have yet to be done. So we have the stadium yet and the primaries, mechanical
And you said
system.
that's summer, what's gonna be happening at Shirley Hills Hilltop in summer of '26?
Shirley Hills and Hilltop, the piping in the buildings and a lot of mechanical. So it's gonna be very heavy in this work. And so I think what's important for us to do is really look at what our original estimates were, challenge those to make sure that we feel like those, and try to put it in that they can be in the best position to be bid.
Do we have any idea what those, if it's conduit or tunnels in those spots?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great project for whoever was lucky enough to get it, so I think they should go aggressive.
Thank you.
Love that conduit work, huh?
Well, they used to do it in the old days like that because it was cheaper. You know, rather than make a large tunnel that went, you know, walking access, it was easier to bring it down 36 inches and still have a reasonable work area, and it was just cheaper to do.
Yeah, makes sense.
But harder, much harder, yeah.
Hard to maintain, hard to maintain.
Any other questions for Dustin? John Norby's here with Kraus Anderson. He does a lot of this work. I want to thank him for calling a lot of people both beforehand to get people interested. One thing that they would do is anyone that bid on the high school project called all of them. And so especially low bids, they're going to be particularly interested perhaps of some continuity in this area. And so I appreciate the effort in getting people here. I also appreciate the work afterwards to ensure that what we're approving here has confidence that it's worth. It's a good bid.
So for the high school, this is all the remaining scopes of work, right?
So
that we're
there's
approving?
there's two left. I'm glad you asked that question. One is asphalt, and we have to do some testing on the asphalt. Part of that bid package is a reclaim, and we have some further testing before we can award it, and it's really how close those were, and so we need to get more information there. The other is signage, and I think we're gonna reject the signage bid and do a direct purchase order from the district, as that's a small enough bid package that we don't need to do that. And granted, that way we can run that differently after looking at it, so.
We'll still get competitive bids. We'll reach out to a few different contractors to make sure everybody's staying competitive, but yeah, it's small enough we can do a direct PO.
So those are the only two remaining now that aren't in. The asphalt, we would hope would be to the board at your January meeting. We will try to get the remaining Grandview at the facilities meeting. This or next week. Other questions?
So it's happening.
Thanks much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks for coming in. Chair moves for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to discussion items. Chair moves for approval of action item 9A, approval of resolution to adopt a 2024 payable 2025 levy. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 9B, adoption of the cooperative agreement regarding the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure improvements. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair moves for approval of action item 9C, approval of retired IT hardware to be sold at auction or recycled. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of the acceptance of bids and approval of contract awards for Independent School District 277 Mound Westonka High School addition and renovations.
Part two.
Part two. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of the acceptance of bids and approval of contract awards for Independent School District 277 Grandview Middle School security improvements and deferred maintenance, Part 1. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And before we move on to adjournment, couple things. Number one, I want to thank all the board members here for all their extra. We've had a busy year, and next year is going to be extremely busy also. Everybody's put in a ton of extra time, been on a lot of extra committees, and it's really making a huge difference of where we're going on this. So thank you guys. And secondly, everybody have a good holiday season. If there is no further business then, Chair moves for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good one.